Hello, once again, wonderful humans. Welcome back to Board Game Dads. My name is Anthony,
And my name is Eric.
and we're a couple of board game dads that like to talk about board games. No surprise there. Basically, today is our third episode of the Board Game Dadcast, a less structured sort of conversation where we have
Much less structured.
much less structured. That's true, considering that we've actually been recording for almost 4 minutes now, but you're only seeing about 15, 20 seconds of it so far. That's how much we messed up. But regardless, we're here for episode 3. We do have a main topic, which I guess I'll just come out and say right off the bat, is quirky or interesting start player rules in
Also,
board games.
some boring ones too. They're not all quirky. They're not all interesting. Some of them are just terrible, and we're going to talk about those too.
True. We're going to cover a wide range of opinions on that fact, but that's for a little bit later on in the show. To start things off, I have a little bit of bragging to do, which I'm comfortable with now because this is quite the streak that my wife Lauren and I have. We've been playing games every day since our anniversary, which was December 30th of 2020. Today was day number 70 of consecutive board game plays. Now, that does include some very short games, right? I mean, you got to remember that we're in a bit of a time crunch here in this household. We've got a toddler. We have a new baby on the way in about 7 weeks. So time is of the essence. And sometimes it's just, let's get a game to the table. We know it's only going to take about 15 minutes, and at least we got a game in for today. And hey, you know what? That's okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's times when I come home from work and I don't even get to see my wife to ask her to play a game because she's asleep because she's got work in the morning. So I'm envious of this streak that you got going.
Thank you. Yeah, you guys do have a two ships passing in the night kind of schedule going on there, unfortunately. But yeah, we were lucky enough to get some plays in with you, Eric, and your wife Melissa, as part of this streak a couple nights ago. Actually, remotely, yes. We played a game that we play very often remotely that we've talked about before on this channel and others as well, and that's Welcome to, particularly the Welcome to Easter.
The Easter thematic neighborhood.
Easter thematic neighborhood, is that the official name of the?
That's the official name. And we haven't talked about this one yet. Sure. We will really soon when it's Easter.
Yeah, or we already have, depending on when we actually post this third Dadcast episode.
That is true. Time is crazy.
But so there's that. I think it's the most interesting way that they incorporated a theme into Welcome to out of the expansions that I've played, where it's like, all right, there's Easter eggs. Cool. Obviously, it's Easter. But depending on what numbers you draw, if it's a circular enclosed number shape, you can encircle these eggs.
Yeah, I think you calling it a very interesting is sugarcoating it. I don't know. I don't dislike it, but I don't know. I feel like it's kind of stupid.
It's probably, look, it's a flip and write game, right? So it's not super thematic to begin with, but I think the Easter one is probably the least thematic out of all of them.
I mean, they're not really thematic. The theme is just looking at that score sheet.
No, I know, but at least, so like in the summer one, for example, right? You get, there's an objective where you get points in this ice cream truck is delivering ice cream or we're selling ice cream down the street. That's thematic enough. Again, it's very thin, right? But it's thematic enough. The Christmas one is about the lights, right?
Right.
Again, thematic enough. This is like, okay, I have a house and there's one Easter egg on the front of it, and you can draw a big 0 around it.
Or an 8 or a 6.
Or 8, yes.
And that's it. Yeah, it's I like it. I'm going to play it every year around Easter. It's the most thematic game I have for Easter, the holiday, just in terms of the non-religious version of the holiday.
Right.
And it's fun. It's cool. And I love Welcome to. It doesn't add that much, but it's fine. I feel like it's and I don't know how to explain this. It's almost like a cop out. They're like, oh yeah, for Easter we'll have the Easter eggs, and what do you do?
Yeah, yeah.
You just circle them. Well, won't that get in the way of writing the numbers? We'll circle them with the numbers. That sounds amazing. Like,
Yeah, I think you're right. I think this might have been like the last idea to come in when they were doing expansion brainstorm session, maybe. But again, like you said, we still like it, play it every year. And, it's just a testament to how good of a game Welcome to is that you can plug in these different holidays or scenarios and it does so very smoothly with just a minor change.
and then I'll complain about it, and it's still one of my top 15 games or so, somewhere around there. And I love it. I love all the expansions. I don't know that I have a favorite or least favorite yet. I'd really have to put some thought into that.
Yeah, this is a great one. My wife and I, Lauren, have every score sheet expansion for this game. We either printed them out or friends of ours made copies of them, and we just have one of each, and we put it in these like sheet protector things, the clear plastic thing, and we just write out with dry erase marker and erase it after every game. I got a binder full of roll and write, flip and write game score sheets that we can just use over Zoom now. It's fantastic. But other than that same night, actually, before we played Welcome to, for the first time over Zoom, we played the Push Your Luck game, Quacks of Quedlinburg.
Yeah, so anytime we're able to play a game, not that this is a real like deep game or like complex game, but anytime we can play a game with a little bit of meat on it that's not just a roll or flip and write, I get excited that we can play this over the computer. You know, have to be in the same place. And so it was cool to try a new game, and it worked great. Like it was, it was flawless. I did horrible. I busted 4 out of my first 5 turns, and not even like I was making poor decisions. I mean, I guess I was. I just kept getting that 3 and that 2 and that other 2 every turn. It was amazing.
Yeah, you were pretty salty.
Yeah, I tried not to let it affect everybody, but like that's rough. It's a rough way to start a game, and then and then be like, I'm having such a good time.
Yeah, no, the Push Your Luck games are brutal. There's the spread of joy versus misery is a very wide one in those types of games. You're either ecstatic with what happened, or you're like, what happened?
And I know how bad I am in general, and because really it's Diamant and it's Quacks of Quedlinburg. Those are the 2 games for me, at least, with a lot of Push Your Luck that I get to the table pretty often.
Right.
And I'm not good at it. It is not.
Change your strategy slightly. Like, I think of it as like a poker or like a gambling thing. They have like this, like 60-40, thinking where 60% of the time you play it safe and 40% of the time you take a risk, or 70-30, you vary it, whatnot. So maybe don't go as gusto for those for pushing your luck every single round. Like that.
I don't go gusto. I don't go all in a lot. I'll be like, okay, you know what? It's a pretty good chance that I'm going to be just fine. There's a really small chance that I'm going to get that one token that's going to be bad, and then it comes up, and then you get nothing, or not a lot. And you go to the next turn. The next turn, now in my head, I'm like, I got to catch up. So now I have to do that extra one. So when I find myself in that same situation where it's a very unlikely scenario that I'm going to bust on this next one, bust. Now I have no choice, right? The third one. Okay, if I'm in that situation, whatever. I'm just taking another tile out of the bag, and I got to get more than like 7 points. I'm not going anywhere with it.
Yeah,
and it's it's a slippery slope.
Now that game in particular, Quacks, does have a sort of a catch-up mechanism where if you're not in first place, along the score track, there's these pictures of rats and their tails hang across the score track. And you count how many rat tails you are behind the person in the lead. and that many spaces, you get to add rat tail to your potion, your cauldron, and start a little farther ahead. That being said, do you feel like were you less salty in this game in particular because you were like kind of way behind early and then did come back to join the pack, so to speak, for a little bit, as opposed to being behind, like way behind and never really like making up any ground? Does one like bother you less than the other?
What bothers me the most in a game like this, or in a lot of games, I'm not a sore loser, but like it happens sometimes. You find yourself in a situation and there's no chance that you can win. And sometimes you're wrong. And I don't like that feeling of hopelessness. Like there's no chance for me to win this game. But I got to play it out. Right? I can't just be like, no, we're packing this game up. We'll write W next to your name. We're going to find a new game. I'm not that guy. But sometimes I want to be. I just like all right. I'm done. And my wife gets it, and she knows that I get like that, and she can get like that sometimes too. And I get it. Sometimes I'm doing so well, you're doing so bad. You're doing so well, I'm doing so bad. So in this particular case for Quedlinburg, whatever, your wife Lauren was doing great. She, from the first turn to the last turn, didn't bust once.
Yeah.
Kept on, got a whole bunch of like 4s, and they kept on coming out, and she was skipping all these, and she was getting a ton of points and money towards the end of the game. And she played fantastic. I didn't, right? I started off horribly, but I kept going. I tried to get there. And eventually I caught up with you and Melissa, but none of us had a chance against Lauren.
Right. So my question is, does that make you feel better than you being behind the whole time and not even catching up a little bit?
What, that I caught up to you two losers, but I couldn't win the game?
Yeah.
No, that didn't make me feel better. It's just, I don't want to feel like I have no chance.
Right.
And that gets me. And, because I'm always in my head, like I'm always like thinking 2 or 3 turns ahead, just in terms of, well, she's got this many more points. I really have to do this, and this in order to have a chance to catch up. And I hate relying on, well, she needs or he needs or whoever needs to make a mistake. They need to make a mistake and bust or something so that I can catch up. Now, I'm not only trying to play my best game, but I also have to rely on you doing something stupid.
Sure.
And that very rarely happens, right? Because Melissa's not dumb. You're not dumb. Lauren's not dumb. You guys aren't going to make stupid mistakes in these games, but apparently I do.
No, it's not. Look, it's not a stupid mistake. It's carelessness, right? And I do the same thing. I have not won Villainous yet. And 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 4 of the times that we've played, I've lost because I stopped paying attention to what Lauren's win condition was. And I was so focused on mine where I was like, oh man, next turn, I got this. And 3 out of 4 times, she won right before my last turn. That's how close those games are. And I feel really annoyed and dumb afterwards. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't, put that hero on this spot and block that instead of this. Oh, so stupid. And yeah, it's a natural reaction, and it's okay to feel that way for sure.
But that's a close game.
Yeah. That's why I still like the game.
I'm not going to get upset if my wife wins and then next turn I was like, oh, I was so close.
Right.
But a game where I just don't have a chance, I'm gonna take that one home with me.
Yeah. That's true. That's a heavy burden sometimes. But yeah, so I'm real proud of that streak. A couple other favorites have been in there the last few days. We got a Wingspan, of course. Tonight we played Splendor, which we hadn't played in a long time, so that was fun too.
Nice.
What about you guys over there? What's going on the table?
Well, we've been playing a lot of Marvel Champions. You know how much we love that game. The other day, I've bought in my lab. I'm a huge comic book nerd, so I have a lot of toys, right? So I have a comic book character, Dark Beast, who I bought his action figure, and with him came this little hammer, which actually doesn't belong to Thor. it belongs to the Sugar Man from the Age of Apocalypse storyline. And it said sugar on it. You can't really see it anymore because I shaved it off.
What does Sugar Man look like?
He's like, oh man, he's a big head with arms, and I guess he holds a hammer that says sugar on it. He looks like MODOK without the chair, just a giant head, but he's got like muscular arms and maybe like a long tongue.
So is he made of sugar?
No, I don't think so.
Why is he called Sugar Man?
I don't remember.
Oh, all right. I'll have to look that up afterwards.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of a combination of MODOK, like you said, and Powder Toast Man from Ren and Stimpy now.
Okay. He didn't look as muscular. He looked more fat and creepy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Powder Toast Man was pretty cool looking. He's a superhero.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
Villain. There's a difference. But anyway, so this is a cool little, it's almost like a replica. It's just a toy hammer. It looks like Thor's hammer. And so this is our new first player token, and I love it. I'm very excited by it. I know how dumb it is, but I love it. It replaces like a word bubble with like an exclamation point in it. So that's
the star player marker for Marvel Champions.
So I was going to get Captain America's shield and use that as our star player token. But then Captain America is not going to have his shield. So, around July 4th, when I want to put Captain America on the counter with the shield, it's going to look dumb. So I got this.
I like it. The Sugar Man cometh. Why not?
That's true. We also got Rise of Tribes to the table. Now, we kickstarted the expansion months ago, I think, and it just came in the mail the other day.
Nice.
So we got that to the table that night. It's not the best game in the world, Rise of Tribes, but it's fun. There is a lot of like take that and area control in the game, but you can play it without that. You can sort of play it where like, all right, well, we don't need more than 5 people here. As long as I got a couple guys here and I can get resources from this place when I need them, I don't need to attack your guys. We can coexist peacefully. And we can do that. But then at some point, when the game goes longer and longer, I'm just like, get off my land. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to get you out of here. Waste all your people. But yeah, so the expansion adds a couple extra animals, which is cool. We haven't really delved that deep into it. We didn't use the whole thing. It's I think it's 2 expansions in the box. Plus, for some reason, I bought the solo expansion, which I'm not going to play. I don't play that many solo games. Maybe I'll play it, actually. I shouldn't say that.
Yeah, you never know.
That was a good one. Real quick, going back to Marvel Champions, we did get the Scarlet Witch expansion recently, and we got that to the table. And Melissa got to play as her. I haven't played as her yet. She wasn't enamored with her.
Okay.
But it was our first play, so we'll give her a couple more plays. I don't remember who we played against. I think we played against maybe the Wrecking Crew. And then we played against Claw, and Claw beat us. I think Claw's beat us twice now.
Oh.
So we probably won't be playing against Claw very often.
Of course. In the daily household, when something doesn't go your way, you just house rule them out of the game.
Out. I mean, why spend 2.5 hours?
Because don't you want revenge on the Claw?
This was going to be our revenge.
Yeah, but if it doesn't work the second time, then that's it. You give up. No revenge.
We'll get revenge like in a year. If we're going to play this game 2 or 3 times a month, we have everything that's come out for the game.
Yeah, no, I get it. Right.
So we don't need to fight him. We can fight Rhino every single time we play this game and love it. We also got to play. Finally, we haven't played this one in a while. Actually, I think we looked through our book and we haven't played this game since we started writing in our book, which dates back to June of 2017. So it's been 4 years, almost 4 years. We played Tales of the Arabian Nights. And it was a lot of fun. And I think my favorite part, again, I did horrible. A lot of like these negative status cards that you can get. I had all of them. I was, yeah, it was bad. And then I had the points. I just had to make it home, and then I got some sort of encounter where Melissa got to move me. So she just moved me all the way, like as far away from the starting space as possible. I was like poor. I was wounded, and I could move like one space per turn. And I didn't have like 10 turns to get home. Melissa was there, and I lost. But it was fun.
Did you
And
look like this?
hold on. The one I didn't.
Okay.
A couple of times when I was like, oh, of course I'm going to be wounded too, and then you get another thing and Melissa reads it and then I get to move you. Oh, like, okay. It's kind of tough to get mad at this game because it's so crazy. It's so off the wall.
Right.
And you could have great luck. You could have terrible luck. You could have middle of the pack luck. I had terrible luck. But we don't get to play this game that much because we haven't played it that much. And in our heads, it seems like it's a hassle, right? Oh, we got to relearn this game. We got all this reading to do. It's going to take forever. It's going to be like a 4-hour adventure. And we can play this game in an hour and a half, 2 hours. And we don't have to relearn anything. It's really simple. You move, you read an encounter, you respond to the encounter, you get stuff. Some of it's good, some of it's bad. But you have all these different ways to respond to all these crazy encounters that you come into. And it's a lot of fun. And I'm really excited that Melissa liked it a lot. And she was kind of like, oh, yeah, I didn't remember how much fun this game was and how easy it was to play. Yeah. So this is definitely going to get back to the table soon.
Cool. Oh, man. I cannot wait until we get to play games together again.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to bring like 50 games up to your place. You're going to come down here. We're going to spend 2 hours just deciding what to play first.
I know. We're going to need like a whole weekend of just board gaming getaway.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you mentioned Kickstarter a little while ago.
I did.
And this is, I think, the most I've kickstarted games in a very long time. I kickstarted.
I like the sound of that.
I kickstarted 2 today. One of them is a game called Three Sisters, which is by the same designers as Fleet the Dice game.
Okay. You love that game.
Yes, I do. I heard the title and I was like, I don't know what this is about. There's a picture of a pumpkin on it. What does it have to do with sisters? And so in the Kickstarter explanation, they talk about what this is. It's Three Sisters is an agricultural planting sort of like model or strategy where you plant these 3 different crops in the garden and they all sort of help each other in different ways. So the pumpkins have these very large, broad leaves, right, which will shade the soil, try to keep out a lot of like the weeds and stuff like that from growing. And then you've got the corn, which are these really tall ones, these tall stalks, and then the beans, which wrap around the corn stalks to then sort of solidify and steady themselves. And they make a lot of nitrogen, I believe is what I read, which is good for the other plants. And it's this whole thing. Look it up. It's pretty interesting.
But I thought that was more of like a Native American thing. Like when the Pilgrims came over, this is what they taught them how.
Yes, no, it is
corn.
Yeah, that is where it is an indigenous thing. Yeah, for sure. But it was the first time I had heard that term. So
yeah, again, I never called Three Sisters.
Love Fleet the Dice game. Like how that plays. This is another large roll and write with 2 pretty big pads of paper. I've heard so far that it's a little meatier than Fleet. So that's interesting to me because Fleet is got a lot going on in it. So it's pretty cool. So I backed that today. And also there was a Gift of Tulips, which is a little card game based on a tulip festival in, I believe, Amsterdam. And it's an all women team, designers, artists, the publisher, everything it's like a 9-woman group. And it looks really cool, the artwork on that. Love my flower games.
International Women's Day.
Exactly. We are in March.
But if this is going to be in the future, then that was like a month ago.
Well, yeah, that's true. But as of recording, that was yesterday. So there's that. What about you? Any Kickstarter things going on for you on your end?
I haven't backed anything in a couple of weeks. However,
Couple of weeks.
a little birdie told me that Everdell has got 2 new expansions on Kickstarter. And so I'm going to back them. I don't even have to look at them. I'm just going to go on there, find it, back it, and then be done with it. I'll find out more information on it someday.
Nice.
But it's Everdell. I know it's going to be like $100, something like that, somewhere around that, which is huge, right? That's a lot of money. But it's Everdell. That's a game that's in both mine and my wife's top 10 games. It's got the coolest meeples I've ever seen in any game, and it's only going to add more animal meeples in this. For $100, it's got to be at least like 6, 7 different animals that you can use.
Right.
I am so excited. As far as what the expansions themselves bring to the table,
It doesn't matter.
no, it doesn't matter. I like Spirecrest. I'll probably never play the game without Spirecrest.
Right.
Pearlbrook, to me, is kind of dumb. And I might not be understanding it correctly, but it almost seemed like, so in the game Everdell, for anybody that hasn't played the game, your first turn, it's very tight. You have 2 workers to put out, and you have nothing. So you have to put them out and get something, and then play that, and then be able to use whatever you just played to generate something, use your other worker to get something else, and then play another card, and then maybe the 2 cards that you played out allow you to play a 3rd card for free. Great. That's a great first round. That's a great first season. You got a whole bunch of stuff done, and then that's it though. And then you pack up all your stuff, you grab, your workers for the next season, and then you start doing the same stuff, and you're trying to get, and you need like 15 cards out in your city. And in the first season, you're like, how am I ever going to get 15 cards out with these workers? And by like the third season, you're kind of like, oh man, I got to get rid of some of these like crummy buildings in my city so I can replace them with these better buildings, because I have this working engine now that's, I play a person and I get all this stuff. I play this other thing, I get all this other free stuff. And it's a lot of fun. And in Pearlbrook, it seemed like you had to go to this place. You got to spend a worker, one of your very, very, very few workers, to go over to this place to get this thing, like a pearl or something.
Okay.
And it didn't seem like it seemed like the space on the board that you're like, I'm not going in there. I'll go over here and get all this other stuff, and I can get 2 amber, 3 wood, I can get a stone, or I can go to Pearlbrook.
Well, are there things then in the expansion that you can get only with pearls that you can't get otherwise?
Probably. I don't remember. It seemed like a waste of workers. Send somebody over there, and then you can move your frog or something like that. And again, we've only played it once or twice, and it's at least been a year or 2. So I could be remembering it wrong. And there could be people watching this that are like, what a moron. Like, tell him to read the rule book and he can figure out that, like, it's nothing like what he's describing. But my wife read the rule book, because that's how we play games. She reads the rules, she teaches me the game, and then I beat her in the first game.
You must love that.
I don't love that, because what if the roles were reversed, right? I read all the rules, I did all this stuff, I got everything ready, while my wife was working. She comes home, I teach her how to play the game, she beats me. I get upset after a while. So I don't love that. But Pearlbrook, not my favorite expansion. But I'm going to back these other 2, even if they're worse than it.
Nice. I like the commitment. They've got you hooked.
Yeah. It's a wonderful, wonderful game. It's got cute animals, which is one of my favorite themes. Is especially, what are they, polymorphic animals, something like that, and so they wear people clothes and stuff like that. It's cute.
Oh, anthropomorphic.
Yeah. What did I say? Polymorphic.
Yes.
Polyomino.
Yeah, polyomino's on the mind.
Yeah. So anyway,
that's another list that we could do. Favorite
polyominoes.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, why don't we get to the main topic? We have talked enough about the games that have been hitting our tables in the last few weeks. Let's get down to the starting player rules.
That's right. To get these tables.
Rules. Starting player rules. So, right off the bat, I just want to say that I looked at a bunch of games, And there were a bunch of games that had starting player rules, something like the youngest player goes first, the
Right.
oldest player goes first. I didn't include any of them. There was also a few that were, everybody, randomly draws a character. Oh, okay. Well, look at the character. There's a number on the bottom left. Whoever has the highest number goes first.
Right.
Okay. It's something that's already incorporated into the game. So I pretty much left all those off the list. That being said, whenever Melissa and I get a game, the first time we play the game, we go by the start player rule. Every time after that, we'll probably roll a die to see who goes first.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically because some games have that rule where it's, the youngest player goes first. Great. Every time we play this game, my wife's going to go first. So, once you learn the rules of the game, you're not really looking at the instructions or the rule book to see what the start player rule is. You just roll a die, start playing.
Yeah, that's true.
There's a couple really good ones. Now I got a bunch written down here, and I'm going to try and fly through a few of them, and go back and forth, I guess.
So before we even get to the list, though, in general, when you open a rule book for the first time, do you want there to be something specific about star player?
Yes.
So if it says something very generic, like decide the first player however you want, you think that's lame overall?
Yes.
Okay.
And because I found some that were just very choose your favorite method to determine first player.
Right.
Okay, but why don't you choose it for me? You've got this opportunity as a board game rule book creator or board game designer, whatever you want to call it, to really be creative and be funny, right? It doesn't have to be funny, but be creative. Have something that goes along with the theme of the game,
right?
And use that. And it might be dumb, but just put a little bit of effort into it, and it's very appreciative or appreciated. And I like. It doesn't have to be this like, oh man, this is such a great rule. We're gonna do this whenever we play any game,
right?
But do something. You have this unique opportunity to just throw a curveball in the rule book. You want the rules to be, you want a good rule book and everything. And that's another conversation about, what makes a good rule book. But just for the start player rule, take this opportunity and put something in there that's going to be like, oh, okay, done. Great. That's it.
Right.
That being said, I would like to talk about a couple of these. So one of them is called Calico.
Mm-hmm. Very popular cat game.
And there's another one called Good Dog, Bad Zombie. These are two different games, and they both have very similar start player rules.
Okay.
Calico is the last one to pet a cat. Good Dog, Bad Zombie is the last one to pet a dog. Now, we have both a cat and a dog in there. And then all of a sudden, she's calling the cat over, and she's having a cat come in her lap. And I'm like, what are you doing? We're about to play a game. She's petting a cat, and then kicks her right off her lap. Okay, first player rules. Last one to pet a cat. And I was like, oh, you cheater. But I know that when we played Good Dog, Bad Zombie, more than likely I did the same thing with Ren. So I called Ren over, I pet her, and then I read the rule book. And so, yeah, but Good Dog, Bad Zombie is cooperative. Now, another thing that I wanted to mention, I didn't really do a lot of cooperative games. I'm actually surprised that I have any on here. My wife looked up Good Dog, Bad Zombie, saw that there was a start player rule for that one. So other than that, I don't think I have any cooperative games on here, because a lot of times you kind of go at the same time, or you're allowed to choose who goes first. So I didn't even bother looking any of them up. I'm sure there's games out there that have interesting start player rules. I didn't do enough research to find them.
Yeah, I didn't look at any cooperative ones either, to be honest, for the same reason. So that's interesting that we both did that, or didn't do that, I should say. Maybe there are some, yeah, for sure. But you bring up a good point about the whole, you both pet a cat dog because you both own one. There's a few of these that I came across that are, if you're playing with just your significant other, which we're doing a heck of a lot of these days, a lot of those things are going to be like, well, we both do that, right? So,
Right.
for example, I've got one right here that would be this example. Camp Pine Top is the person who last went camping is a star player.
Right.
We have not gone camping separately ever. So there's that.
Similar love letter is the person who was most recently on a date. I'm married.
Yeah.
Every date that I go on is with the same person. So like we get to that, we're just
If
like,
you have a different answer, if you have a different answer for that, when you guys are sitting down to play, you got some issues. You should probably be doing something else besides playing board games.
yeah.
But yeah, I had love letter on my list as well.
Oh, okay. Sorry to.
No, there's going to be a lot of crossover
that
there, I
one.
think.
That's true.
What else you got?
So this one benefits me. The game's called The Grizzled. I've only played the game once or twice. It's a cooperative game. Oh yeah, it's another cooperative game, but it's the hairiest player goes first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's me.
I feel like I have something very similar. I just oh yeah, the game Hanga
Okay.
says the shaggiest player goes first. So.
All right. Well, I suppose since we're going there, the game Corrigans.
Hi, the Corrigans.
Now I love this game because it's got leprechauns, it's got a pot of gold, and it's got animals, cute little animals. The most bearded player goes first. So the most bearded, we got the shaggiest, and we got the most hairiest. I'm going first every time we play one of those.
Yeah, you're the beardiest.
That is true.
So here's one that is interesting because it is a little bit different, but it runs into the same dilemma with us anyway. It's the tallest player goes first, right? Is that really any different than oldest or youngest? It's kind of the same issue.
Never gonna change.
And that's Takanoko. I think they do that because you're building the bamboo stalks kind of high. But that's when it's like, man, let's roll a die instead.
Now I will say this for games that you can play competitively with your kids. I think youngest player goes first is a good idea. Let the kids go first. They're going to complain about it anyway if they end up going last. Let them go first. Maybe it'll help them out. Maybe they'll get to win. But yeah, that I'm not gonna poo-poo a game that you're playing with your kids where it says the youngest player goes first. Yeah, but if the game that I'm playing with my with adults and my wife, and it's always going to be the youngest player goes first, we're just not going to use that rule.
That makes sense. I think that's why that's in there is for that reason, so the kids get a good shot. But the counter to that is the oldest player goes first. Are we saying the same thing about cranky old grandma is going to be like, I didn't get to go first kind of thing?
I guess it depends on the game. I mean, maybe if the game is about like time or experience or something like that, wisdom, because wisdom comes with age.
Maybe.
All right, so another one I want to talk about. This one I find to be actually kind of dumb. Small World. It's a great game, but the start player rule is the person with the pointiest ears. So if you're playing with people, maybe somebody's got slightly pointier ears than somebody else. Maybe they're sensitive about it. And now you're going to point it out to everybody and be like, oh, man, I don't get to go first because Batista's got pointy ears. And, and there's another one, speaking of which isn't necessarily the same, but Gods Love Dinosaurs. The player with the sharpest teeth goes first.
Sharpest teeth. Yeah, that's interesting. The only, I think, besides shaggiest, the only physical attribute one that I have on my list is for the game Guillotine, which I think this is pretty clever.
I remember this.
It's longest neck.
Yep.
I mean, yes, if you have someone who has like a really long neck, they might be offended by this, I guess, but it's funny because of the theme.
Right. So right. No, it fits in that one. That's a funny one. That's a cute one.
Yeah. I think the one that I have that's similar to what you were saying about like petting the cat like right away or whatever before you play there's some of these that are
where you can cheat. You can read the rule book,
right,
cheat,
right,
and then play the game.
but there's some that does not work for at all. Like, I have Council of Verona here, which is a game based on Romeo and Juliet. The last person to recently be on a balcony goes first. So again, that's interesting because Lauren and I both, we live together now, but even before we were married, we lived together in a condo that had balconies on it. So if we were playing that game there, it'd be like, oh, I want to just go on the balcony for a second, come back in. Oh, let's play Council of Verona. But there's no way to determine who was last out there.
Yeah, yeah.
Any other quirky ones you got over there?
I got some good ones. I'm going to save a couple of them for the end. The one that I want to talk about next, I actually have Spring Meadow, Indian Summer, and Cottage Garden.
Okay.
So all three of those Uwe Rosenberg, Polyomino, seasonal type games. So Spring Meadow is the player who was most recently on a mountain.
Okay.
Which seems cool, but like, what if you live on a mountain? You drive over a mountain every day to go to, like, what part of the mountain? The bottom of the mountain, the top of the mountain? You have to be hiking. You have to be on foot.
Yeah.
It's fine, I guess. At least he put in the effort. He didn't just say, "Oh, roll a die or choose starting player randomly." Indian Summer is the last person to take a stroll in the forest. I like that one. I think that one's cool. Doesn't necessarily work so well over like winter,
Well, yeah.
It's been months, but and then Cottage Garden was the last person to weed. No, the last one who weeded a garden. So, and Cottage Garden is actually my favorite of those three games. Just throwing that out there.
Okay. I got a couple similar to that. I've got the game Blossoms is last person to have watered a plant. So there's that. And then the game Parks is the last person to take a hike, which again could be up for debate, right? Like what constitute a hike. But the forest thing is interesting because the game Gingerbread House has a very similar one, although instead of taking a stroll in the forest, it says the last witch who visited a forest, because they really want you right out of the gate in that game. You are a witch in this game. So
okay.
Last witch to go in the forest.
All right. So here's the next two that I'm going to talk about. Now, I just took two of my favorite games and looked at them. And as long as it wasn't something youngest, oldest, or randomly or whatever, I wrote them down. And so I wrote Everdell, which is the most humble player. So you could play this game, read that, the most humble player goes first. And I could be the most non-humble person in the world. What would non-humble be? Obnoxious. I could be the most obnoxious person in the world. And all I have to do is be like, you go first, right? And then I go first, right? Yeah. Isn't that how that kind of works?
Yeah.
So that's kind of dumb. Another one, this is actually one of my two favorite games, Tobago. And that one is the last person who visited an island, which is another one of those, like, I'm married. Last time I visited an island, it was with my wife.
Right, so, right. But it doesn't always have to be a vacation tropical island.
For us, it could be like Manhattan, absolutely. But for us, we don't go on any islands. And if we do, we're probably going together.
All right, I've got a couple more here that are related to food. One of them is the 2-player only game Targi, which I actually didn't expect to have a unique one. It just seemed like a game that would say,
right,
whoever picks this number goes first, whatever. But it's the person who most recently ate dates, which is something we struggle with because neither one of us know if we've ever eaten a date. Like, we probably have, but we have no clue, and not even a ballpark of when the last time. So unless I go out and buy them specifically to cheat for that one, that's a tough one for us to figure out.
Yeah.
And then we've got, I think I mentioned this already, but in case I didn't, I'll mention it again. Pagoda, last person to eat with chopsticks. That's kind of food thing too. And then there was one more that I feel like. Oh, the game Outfoxed which is a great, basically kids deduction type game, but plays well as a family for sure. The wolf, or the fox rather, in that game stole a freshly baked pie. And so you're trying to solve the case of who took the pie. So the person who last ate pie gets to
Oh, I remember that, and that was probably me when we played that. Now, I'll tell you, I've only played it that one time with you. I liked it so much that I bought it for a gift for my brother, his wife, and
Nice.
Emmy.
Okay.
So they played it, and she played it. She enjoyed it, and then I guess they liked it a lot because a couple days later they played it again, and I just happened to call them to FaceTime with Zoe.
Okay.
And Emmy was, she was over by the window looking outside playing with toys, but my brother and Sophia were sitting there playing a game and having a good time playing a game.
Nice.
So that was cool that they were playing this game that I got for Emmy and them as well.
Mm-hmm.
And Emmy was doing her own thing, and they were still playing. They were enjoying it. So I like that a lot. That was cool to hear that and see that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's nice when you can recommend a game for someone or give a game to someone and see them enjoy it.
Right.
All right, so I got a few more as well. I'm gonna say Pandemic is one that it's kind of cool. I like this one. The last person who was sick goes first in Pandemic. Very fitting, and it's cool. I like that one. And that, if I'm sick, it doesn't mean Melissa's going to be sick. If she's sick, doesn't mean that I'm going to be sick. Sure, we live in the same house and we sleep in the same bed, but and then whoever's sick first, the other person's sick last. Usually one person's still sick while the other person's already feeling better.
True.
So that's a pretty easy one to determine who is going to be first player. This one, however, Cloud City, is the player with their head most in the clouds.
Oh boy.
That one is it's okay. It makes sense because it's Cloud City.
Yeah, it does, but like the most humble thing. I mean, these subjective things that you cannot measure are really ridiculous.
Yeah.
So you just get a debate about it and never figure it out.
It's basically the kind of thing where only if you're playing with a certain person will you know who's going to be first player.
Right.
Otherwise, people are trying to prove how their head's more in the clouds. Be like, well, my head's mostly in the clouds because I daydream a lot. Everybody daydreams,
Unless you were voted,
that is true.
Likely head in the clouds in your high school.
If you got that
yearbook.
superlative in high school, then you win that one. I don't know who won that in our high school yearbook.
Oh, I do. It was Carl Benson.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I think it was Carl. Oh, no, wait. Was that? No, I think it was Carl, but I think Carl was two categories. I think he was head in the clouds as well as most likely to never be seen again or something like that.
All right, so I got another one here, and this is another game that I like a lot. Ex Libris, and it's the player who most recently acquired a book. Now, I buy comic books fairly frequently. Now, my wife and I, we buy Zoe books all the time. We got a bunch of St. Patrick's Day books we're going to read. We got a bunch of Easter books we're going to read. And we have a ton of books. Those don't count because we buy them together. But I buy comic books. So typically, if we're going to play this game and we read that part, we both know that I'm the one that's going to be going first that turn, and that's cool, right? Because nobody would look at me and be like, "Oh, Eric, oh yeah, he's probably the one who most recently acquired a book." But I am.
Do ebooks count?
Sure. I don't see why not. It's got book right in the title.
It's true. All right,
If ebooks don't work, the comic books don't work.
Well, that's true. I've got 3 or 4 left here. Harry Potter, the House Cup. What is it called? House Cup competition. Last person that went to school. I get it. It's okay. I like Rhino Hero. Now, I don't know if Rhino Hero Super Battle is the same because I don't have.
I'll tell you because I have it written down.
Okay, cool. So I have person who most recently did a good deed.
It is different.
Ooh.
Rhino Hero Super Battle is the best climber.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't know if regular Rhino Hero, if you're putting the different superhero meeples and the monkeys and hanging them on the actual building, right? You're just building a single tower.
Single tower. There's no monkeys, and it's only Rhino Hero. There's no other characters that you're moving
Yeah, in
around.
Super Battle, there's other characters and there's monkeys.
Yeah.
So those are different.
That's cool that we both had that though in a different way.
It's interesting too.
And let's see. I don't know if we probably didn't mention this yet, but Ticket to Ride is most traveled. That's a tough one too. Again, we've said this a few times, but if you travel with your significant other and you're playing with just them, it's going to be something that doesn't really decide a whole lot. Then there's the I've been to this place. Well, so have I. I've been to Europe also, but who's most traveled? The person who's been the farthest away geographically or to the most unique places? Like I don't know. It's not as cut and dry as I'd like it to be.
I think it's the person who's got the most miles, right? Like, and I'm not talking driving. When we first played this, and my wife and I came into this.
Why not driving? Driving, you travel
like driving back and forth to work.
Okay.
No, I'm talking. Each place counts as a new place.
Gotcha.
So I remember we were playing this game, and to figure it out, it was like, all right, well, I've been to Canada, I've been to California, Florida, Maine. I've been to the corners, and then Melissa was like, I've been to Europe, and I was like, all right, you go first.
Should have led with that.
Yeah, right. Seriously, like you're letting me name like different states, and you're like,
I've been to Pennsylvania.
I've been off this one country, off this continent. Okay, you win. All right. So here's one of my favorites. Right, I got two favorites. Okay. This is one of them. It's a game called Grim Forest. And in the game, you're playing as the little pigs, and you're building houses, and there's wolves, and they're knocking down your houses. But really, you're just building houses, and you're trying to be the fastest one to build a house. And the start player rule is the player who most recently ate bacon.
Oh,
yeah. So that's a cool one. And it, unfortunately, the player who most recently ate bacon in our house is probably always going to be Melissa, because if we get a plate of bacon, I'm going to eat my half before she eats like her second piece. So unless I save a piece off to the side because I know I want to play Grim Forest later, she was always the last person to eat bacon.
Dude, next time you should save one piece of bacon, put it in the Grim Forest box. You open the box and you're like,
that would work if this was going to be our first time playing the game. Because like I said, the first time we did the start player roll. Every other time we roll a die. But yeah, that was a cool one. When I saw that, I got excited. That might have been the one that I saw and thought, hey, we should do start player rules.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure. I could be making that up in my head. All right. I got one more I want to talk about here. Two more, but Canvas, because we played this game recently. Mm-hmm. Not that this is the great player who painted most recently. So that's it.
I mean, it fits, right? It fits the theme.
It does. It fits it. If you painted recently, and I think I went first because I painted Zoe's room.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So technicality.
Yeah, buddy. All right, so I've got a couple more here. I think we both had Santa Monica on our list, but I don't know if we mentioned it yet.
We did not.
Last person to visit a beach, similar to the traveling thing.
Wait. Before you move on, I have Tavarua, which is a game where you are on surfboards and you're surfing and you're trying to catch the best wave, and you got a short board and a long board, and you're trying to get your best score on both. And it is the last player who visited the ocean. So when I knew you were doing Santa Monica, I wanted to make sure I got Tavarua in there so I could just piggyback on top of yours.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, we've got... Okay, so this is interesting. This was the one that I saw that was the most similar to like calling shotgun basically when you're going to the
Okay.
car, right? Because it's the game Hare and Tortoise, and it's the first person to say whatever the time is currently out loud. So all you have to do is say, 11:52, and you get to go first.
Okay.
So there's that. And that's interesting.
See, that's something like that. I gotta say, it seems like the player who's reading the rule book is gonna go first, because people are like, "Wait, what?" Meanwhile, the person's like, "The player who says the time 1:27 goes first," and people are like, "Oh, wait, oh, you cheated." They're asking for people to cheat on that one.
Yeah, for sure. I guess this might be my last one. I have two more left. All right, so this was an honorable mention for interesting, unique thing, and that's the game called Penny Lane, which I don't know if you've ever seen, but it has a similar look to Santa Monica in that you're building like two rows of like roads off of like other buildings and stuff. It's not at the beach. It's more of like
I don't think I've seen this one.
Okay, it's more like a downtown sort of area, but the person who last ran for office goes first. And it makes a point in the rule book to say, in parentheses, any office. So, if you ran for treasurer of fifth grade or whatever, and you can, say that you did that definitively, then you're going to go first.
I'll never go first in that game.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever run for anything.
Nothing? No.
I mean, I've run in softball. It's about the only time I run nowadays, right? Just playing ball. All right, how many more you got? Because I got the last one.
Okay, you can finish. I got three more.
All right, let's hear them.
All right, Sea of Clouds, last person to have drank rum.
Okay, I like that one. I wish I thought of that one. That would have been cool. Yeah.
And then there's a little dice game called Dairyman, which I wrote down because it's similar to some of the food things in the games we've seen, like the last person to eat XYZ. This is the longest time not having consumed dairy gets to go first.
Okay.
So it's a little bit of a flip there. And then my final one is Zombie Dice, which is the only one I saw in my collection that had a choice of how to decide the first player. It was either the last person who won a game, which I think I like that overall because we've done that. Like you won last game, you get to go first. I like that.
Right. That's a very common thing.
Yeah. So that they have a common choice and then a very thematic choice, which is the person who says brains with the most feeling. It says that with the most feeling. So that's like a whole nother game within a game, right? You vote on who did the best zombie impression. And that's the last one I got. So let's hear your one that you were saving for the end.
All right. So I thought this was going to be like some real super cool thing. However, it's very similar to yours.
Oh, okay.
So in the game, Dead Man's Doubloons, the player who can most convincingly say, "Ahoy, matey," like a pirate, goes first. If no one agrees, players all fight it out like pirates. That's how you decide who goes first. So it's both a choice, just like yours, and it has to do with who can say something with some gusto. We go and circle back.
But yours incites some physical one-on-one competition, which is interesting.
Right. If you can't agree on who says the best pirate voice. So if you got two people who are really trying to go first and they give it their all, then they have to fight it out. And then while they're fighting, the other player, like a pirate, just grabs a gun and shoots them both. A toy gun. You shoot them with like a Nerf ball or something. I'm not going to condone violence.
Yeah. Or you get the cash and guns, foam guns.
We actually don't have any of those because the dog doesn't like them.
Mm. All right, folks. So there are some different ways to start some different games. Real quick, I did want to note, besides just the common sort of rolling the die, which is something Laura and I do very often, just roll, see who goes first. There are several apps that you can get on your mobile device that are purposely their start player apps. I think the most common one is everyone touches the phone, right? And then it kind of randomly like picks someone somehow. I don't know. I've never actually done it, but they exist. I just wanted to point that out, that those are a thing that are in the universe.
That is a thing. You know what I have to say about that? Just roll a die. Come on. Rolling a die is so fun, you know. And then you go to the comic book, go to a board game convention, and you can get a specific die. And you know, like I have a couple of D20s. I haven't played Dungeons and Dragons in at least a year, and before that, it was probably like another year or two. What else am I going to use this D20 for? Other than every single time we play a game, I use this one die, which I love. It's, you know, it's a nice big one too, and it glows in the dark, and it's a nice like bluish teal kind of color. It's fantastic. It's my favorite die, and I get to roll it to decide who gets to play first, who gets to go first. And I'm not going to use an app because I have this die.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. But if you're sitting with people who do not have any dice around, then
I have crappier dice that they can borrow.
What if you're not at your home base with your dice? What if you're somewhere else with no dice?
I'll bring them.
Oh my good lord!
I'll let them all roll D6s, and I'll roll D20.
All right, folks, that's about enough shenanigans from the both of us. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you made it this far, I don't know what to say to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, I guess. And why? I don't know why. But maybe if you could give it a thumbs up and perhaps even subscribe to the channel. Lord knows how many subscribers I have at this point, whenever this video is going up. As of recording this, it's 53. I lost the battle with Chris. He's well over 100 now.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
He's
man.
At 112.
He had a big head start on you.
He did. And it was all in fun. But there's that. So yeah, check that out.
I'll tell you what, you know who just started doing their own channel that I know of through Instagram and Favorite Game Friday is Evan Diesel and his son Grayson that do videos.
Yeah.
You should start. I know you guys both follow each other. I follow him too. I've commented on one or two things that he's done. I like their stuff. I think it's great. I think that you should start communicating with him and do a competition with him, because you guys are both real young channels. I guess.
Do you know how many subscribers he has now?
I don't. I just wanted to plug him. See you next Friday, Evan and Grayson.
They have a YouTube series about, I think they're doing the alphabet, right? Games.
They're actually, and Board Game Dads. They're doing an alphabet series, and in the first episode, they talked about, or maybe it was on Instagram, I'm not sure. They talked about how he's doing this because he wants Grayson to feel more comfortable in front of the camera, right, and and be able to talk about games. And we watch them, and they're really good because it's not scripted. Sometimes I'll see people and I just watch their eyes, and they're reading, and for a kid to talk about a game, and he's just coming up with this stuff. He does a really good job.
All right, folks. Thanks for hanging out with us, and we'll see you next time. Have a great night.